if you keep doing what everybody's doing, I'm afraid everybody's going to go off the cliff. That cliff is not too far away right now. My attitude is this: if you're going to be a real entrepreneur, you have to be a lifelong learner. I am studying, learning constantly. In school, we're taught to take our tests on our own. If you ask for help, you're cheating. In my world, it's called cooperation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 to 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 to 9. This one's for my top 10.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 video with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel is created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You have Michael Jordan level talent at something. So get ready to not follow the herd, get away from the paycheck, and build your brand with Robert Kiyosaki and my take on his top 10 rules of success to give you the confidence, motivation, and belief that you need. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule #1, be a lifelong learner.
My attitude is this: if you're going to be a real entrepreneur, you have to be a lifelong learner. I am studying, learning constantly. I never stop. And that's my competitive advantage. But also my core advisor team, we never stop together. You know, I have my accountants, my attorneys, my bankers and all that, we study together. That's what we do, we get together. We don't play golf, we don't drink beer, we study. Because study is the way you win. But you have to know what you're studying, because you know what you put in here, garbage in, garbage out, right? The other thing you have to be careful is who's your teacher, who's your mentor. You know, I took golf lessons once at the Biltmore, and it was the most horrible golf lesson I ever had. Because that was a golf, the teacher and I just did not get along. So they brought a new golf instructor in, and I learned to love the game again. You know what I mean? So as an entrepreneur, be very careful who your teacher is, because they can either kill your spirit or increase your spirit. A good teacher will inspire you to learn more. A bad teacher will tell you you're stupid and you should study more.
Rule #2, question everything.
I think most of your viewers out there sitting inside their head are the words from their mother and father. Go to school, get a job, pay taxes, save money, buy a house because it's an asset, get out of debt, and invest in the stock market. That creates poor people. It's a hypnosis train going through your brain. So when people say, how do I change my life? Well, you change those words. I wouldn't go to school because you learn nothing about money in school. I wouldn't get a job because if I have a job, I'm an employee. And then I'd pay taxes, and I don't pay taxes. And I don't save money. And I use debt to get rich, and I don't invest in the stock market. That's why I'm rich. And so the young people who are listening right now, they're saying, but that's what my mom and dad said. But that's what mom and dad say all over the world. So to the young people, I just say challenge or question what you've been taught. Because from the Bible, I'm not religious. The word becomes flesh. So if you say, go to school, and you say, but I learned nothing about money. Get a job, you become an employee. If you're an employee, you work for money. I pay taxes. Then they tell you to save money. Why would you save money when the government's printing money? You know, and get out of debt. Well, debt is money. I use debt to get rich. Most people use debt to get poor and invest in the stock market. I don't invest in the stock market. So when you wonder why so many people struggle financially, is they haven't challenged the hypnosis, the words, go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, pay taxes. Until you question those hypnotic trances, you don't change.
Rule #3, don't follow the herd.
The question I ask you is, are you following the herd? You know, the herd generally goes off the cliff like a bunch of lemmings. You know, how many are doing what your mommy and daddy told you what to do? go to school, get a job, invest in a well-diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. Is that what you're doing? Are you hoping that the next person elected, whether it's President Trump or one of the other candidates, will save the economy? Well, we have a very important show for people like you, because this program is about you have to do the exact opposite of what everybody else is doing. Because if you keep doing what everybody's doing, I'm afraid everybody's going to go off the cliff. And that cliff is not too far away right now.
Rule number 4, find passionate people.
What I found out, the accountants and attorneys who went to the biggest schools are not the best. I have found what I'm looking for is somebody who may be a private guy who is passionate about entrepreneurship. So they're a great attorney for entrepreneurs. They're not, most attorneys are looking for the big client, like I want to work for, General Electric. What I want is the attorney and the accountant who are passionate about it being entrepreneurs. So my guys right here in Phoenix are entrepreneurs, and my accountants are entrepreneurs. Every time I hired the big name corporate and law accounting firms, I have been grossly overpaid and underserved because they're so used to doing bigger things, they don't have time for a little guy like me. It's the same with bankers. I'm looking for a banker who loves being an entrepreneur. You got to have this partnership with the banker. I dump on the financial services industry a lot, and they deserve to be dumped on, but you got to have one on your team, So my banker is the love of my life because that's where I get my money from.
Also, if you want to have more self-love and motivation, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
I don't cheat on my wife. I don't cheat on my customers. I don't cheat people. I don't cut corners. If I can't do something, I'll tell you up front. If I screw up, I'll tell you. People always kind of dump on, fast food industry. If I had to do it again, I'd go work for McDonald's. Look, I have an unfair advantage, I went to war. And at war, I'm alive because other guys died for me.
Rule number 5, learn to cooperate.
The biggest thing for most young people is that our schools teach us to be ICs, independent contractors.
Okay.
Or self-employed, or even if you're an employee, you're still an independent contractor who has a job. And you do it by yourself. I think much of the young world is in the selfie world. Look at me, look at me,
Yeah.
look at me. Whereas in my world, it's a team sport. I'm a rugby player. I go on the field with a team, toughest, meanest guys I know. And so you could be the A student from Princeton, but I go on this field with 15 tough men, kick your ass. And so the average guy is coming out there, oh, I got an A, I went to Princeton, I went to Harvard, and corporate America comes out and they go, boom. So that's why when I talk to young people, I say, look, it's a team sport. So the first person I have is a bookkeeper. Bookkeeper is the lowest paid person on my team, but the most important.
Right.
The bookkeeper then keeps the accurate records that my accountant can use, and my attorney can use, and my banker can use. That's the combination there. And my banker, my attorney, and my accountant must work together as a team. Most people, their bankers, accountants, and attorneys don't work together as teams. Because in school, we're taught to take our tests on our own. If you ask for help, you're cheating. In my world, it's called cooperation. And what I found with most smart people, they don't know how to cooperate. They don't know how to ask for help. Because in their brains, that's cheating. It means you're stupid. It means you're weak. It means you're stupid.
Rule number 6, plan your retirement.
One of the things I stress here at Rich Dad, which I didn't do for much of the time, was because once Kim and I had enough money, the question is, what do you do next? And if Kim and I had continued to work for money, I think I would have died. So when Kim retired, she was 37 and I was 47. But just as we said on this with Vante, it's one of your primary objectives, especially today, is when do you plan to retire? because, the idea of having a job and waiting for your 401k or your stock market to save you, I think you're going to be sadly disappointed, because what I'm foreseeing is a massive crash coming. It's going to wipe out a lot of people. And I'm coming out with a new book called Who Stole My Pension? And all these guys who think their pension is safe, I think Wall Street has other ideas on their pension here. So when I say to young people like you guys, I said, plan your retirement the day you start working. When do you escape from the rat race? That's the cash flow game there.
Rule number 7, get away from the paycheck.
As we know, there's fewer and fewer jobs. American corporations say they're hiring, but they're not hiring in America, they're hiring overseas. But more than that is that the reason I endorse network marketing is most people are addicted to the paycheck. And the paycheck is one of the most sinister plots ever pulled upon a human being. If you need a paycheck, you've sold your soul. You've sold your body, your mind, your spirit, and your emotions. You sit there in fear of losing your job, or can I get a raise, or, will I get promoted? And then why would you do that? Another thing about the reason we endorse network marketing, we don't think of it as a network marketing, we think of it as entrepreneur development. Because if you need a paycheck, this is not your business. We build businesses. So sometimes when Kim and I do a deal, we may not receive a paycheck for 5-6 years. And so these guys come, am I going to get rich quick? And some people do, I don't know if you do or not. But that is an employee, get rich, loser mindset. And so the thing that network marketing does is really kind of cure you of that loser paycheck, get rich quick mentality, and actually build a business. We build businesses, and that's how we're rich. But we didn't get rich quick, and I don't need a paycheck, and I never want a paycheck. So that's kind of a revolutionary thought to most people up there who went to school to get good grades and get a job. And then you get a high-paying job, and the higher-paying job, you pay higher taxes, and you wonder why you never get ahead. That's because you went to school to get a job and a paycheck. You've got to get away from the paycheck, and sometimes it might take 2-3 years to get away from that. And that's what network marketing teaches people. It's an entrepreneur's mindset, it's an entrepreneur's spirit, not a loser employee, I need a paycheck mentality.
Rule number 8, build your brand.
A big part of what makes a company successful is whether or not they have a brand, B-R-A-N-D, almost misspelled it. Okay? And brand, people think, well, it's the communication, But a brand is more than that. The reason Rich Dad is so valuable right now is because it is an internationally known brand, the same way as Trump is known as a brand. And the real question on a brand is not just communication. See, a brand makes it easier to sell. When somebody says Rich Dad, they go, oh, I think I heard of that, or I know what the guy stands for and all this. So what a brand really is the entire BI triangle. If you're going to create a brand, especially in a world that's overcrowded with advertising, communication, the webs, iPods, print, blogs, there's so much competition now for a person's time, it really is more important that you become a brand. So there's a shortcut communication. Like if I say the word Ferrari, you get a picture of something in your mind. It's a whole body effect. But if I said Hyundai or Kia, car, they're probably just as good a car, but you get a whole different emotional effect just by the brand name. So I'm not saying Hyundais are better or worse than a Ferrari, but I'll pay more for a Ferrari than I will for a Hyundai. I don't own a Hyundai, by the way. I own a Ferrari. What does it mean? It's a shortcut communication. Like if I say the word Apple, some people think of computers and some people think of red apple. But for the guys like me I'm an Apple fanatic, the brand means a lot to me. I love Steve Jobs. He's one of the best entrepreneurs in the world right now. And if I say the word Marine Corps is a brand. It communicates everything, the mission, the team, the leadership, the style, the message. The Marines have a saying, we're only looking for a few good men and women. That means we just don't want to be like the Army. We have to position ourselves away from the Army, the Air Force, and the Coast Guard, and the Navy. So brands are so vitally important as a communication tool, especially in today's over-communicated to world. There are more people competing for your customer's mind, their time. You know, how many blogs can you read? How many magazines can you read? How many television sets can you read? How many games can you play and all this? So today, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, it becomes more and more important that you become a brand.
Rule number 9, don't hang with losers.
There are people who want to go into real estate, but they have the negative Midas touch. Everything they touch turns to shit. You know, it doesn't turn to gold. And they, no matter what piece of real estate or no matter what stock they go into, they have a loser's mentality. And that's why I don't hang out with losers. Well, I'm a good, hard-working person. I say, I know, but you're a laborer. You're not an investor. You don't understand me. But I'm a good person. I go to church every Sunday. I work hard. I say, yeah, but you're still a loser. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. Does that make sense, guys, here? You're a loser. You're a financial loser. That's what it means. It doesn't mean I don't want a bad partner.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is don't take sides.
I don't like to take sides. I would say all coins have 3 sides: heads, tails, and the edge. And I like to stand on the edge and look at both sides. I don't take right or wrong because somebody's right and somebody else is wrong. You know, to go to war was right for me, but to those guys you mentioned, it was wrong. And if I get into that battle, it's the same battle between Trump and Sanders, Bernie Sanders, or Trump and the Clintons. It's not worth my fight. You know, my fight ended in Vietnam. So that's where I'm at. I teach capitalism.
Now I've got a special bonus clip from Robert on how to know your calling that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Let's go from just watching a video to taking action. Here we go. Question number 1. Who are the losers that you need to stop hanging out with? Number 2, where do you need to stop following the herd? And number 3, what will you do to build your brand this week? And if you made it this far in a video and you commit that you're gonna take action, we don't just watch videos here, we do something, give me a hashtag believe down in the comments below because I want to celebrate you.
There's 3 types of ways people work. Number 1 is a job. Number 2 is a career. And number 3 is a calling. So let's look at it this way. It's not the job you do, it's your point of view on it. So a school teacher, I would say probably 30, 40%, it's just a job. You know, they're school teachers not because they like teaching, but they like the benefits, they like the pay. You know, for them, the paycheck is the reward for doing something they don't want to do. The second is a career. So a school teacher goes in that this is my career. You know, someday I'll be vice principal or, you know, some superintendent and things like that. So that's their career. And then we've all had teachers where their whole life soul is in teaching.
Those are the best teachers.
Well, those are the ones I remember. I also remember the ones who were the job guys. They were the worst, some of the worst I've ever had. You know, I just argued and fought with them. They're the reason I left school. So when I talk to entrepreneurs, I say, is it just a job? Is it your career to be an entrepreneur, or is it your calling? And there's nothing right or wrong, it's just be honest with yourself. You know, right now, I'm going to start a taco shop because I need to make some money. Knock yourself out, you know. But when I started my first business, it was not to make money necessarily. Money is important because money is fuel for the business. But I wanted to learn to be an entrepreneur. So I started nylon Velcro wallets. I don't love the product. The product sucks. But I wanted to be a great entrepreneur. So I was willing to do a product that I wasn't passionate about, but I was passionate about learning to be an entrepreneur. And then when I became successful as an entrepreneur, I have enough money. I said, what do I want to do next? You know, I retired at 47. I had enough money coming in. And I said, well, I hated school. I love education. I just hated school. I love most of my teachers. I just hated school. You know, because every time they said to me, go to school and get a job, I said, but I don't want a job. I want a business. You have to get a job. Do you know what I mean? It was the programming I didn't like. So with that said, I became an entrepreneur in education. And today I make millions as a teacher, but I make it as an entrepreneur. So when people say, well, don't you have enough money? I said, it's not about the money at this point, because I have plenty. It's about the job. You know, it's what's my calling.
If you want to see my top 10 on Dan Lok, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
When we're looking for solution, sometimes we make it way more complicated than it needs to be. Sometimes the solution is so obvious right in front of us.